Ladies and gentlemen, it is a Sunday evening. I send greetings to each and every one of you, wherever you are. I'm proud of you and thank you so much for your continued support. I'm here because of you and you are here because of me. We unite together. That is why this platform is alive. My friends from Africa, my friends from across the world, my friends from the United States of America, my friends from the United Kingdom, my fans from Germany, and across the world, I send you greetings. Back to the Kenyan politics. I want you to listen very carefully and I give you something. Ladies and gentlemen, if there is a language that any government understands, it's pressure and demonstrations. Any government in this country, any government on earth, be it in Uganda, be it in Tanzania, be it in the United States, be it the best language that the government understands is protest. If you live in a country where people cannot protest, protesting doesn't mean you move out with Matawi singing Haki Yetu. No. Protesting can be done in different ways. For example, in Kenya, we have successfully done online protests, social media protests. We can protest against something on Facebook or Twitter and everything changes. Now, if it were not the protests, by now we could be eating GMO. But because Kenyans stood and said no, the maize is rotting at the sea. 10,000 tons. Ladies and gentlemen, when the Kenya Kwanza government took power, I vividly remember the president's speech in Karen. Immediately, the court gave them victory. I remember very well. The speech is still fresh in my mind. He categorically said that as a government, we will work for all Kenyans without discrimination. He publicly said on television and told the people of the Republic of Kenya that yes, once I'm sworn in as a Christian, I will not revenge to those who never supported us. As high time Kenyans we come together and build this nation. As your president, I will not revenge. The opposition have the freedom to express their views and we will listen. But as I've always told you, that this government applies what we call reverse psychology. Reverse psychology means when I tell you I will forgive you, in real sense, I mean I'll beat you. That's what we call reverse psychology. You speak in public so that once we beat you, we are not suspected. Because we had earlier cleaned ourselves on media. Now, the president himself has gone on social media to swear and say the Cherera must go home. He has categorically stated, he has publicly tweeted and affirmed to the citizens of this country that the Cherera must go home. Why? Because the Constitution gives each and every Kenyan a right to associate themselves to whichever coalition or to whichever party. The Cherera 4 expressed their freedom of associating themselves with the Azimio. Then Chebukati expressed his freedom by associating himself with the Kenya Kwanza. Nobody has questioned that. But now, the members associated to Kenya Kwanza, because they have the majority, they have vowed to send home the Chorera. And I want to say this for the record. If there is a generation that is blessed in this country, is a generation that is being ruled under the dispensation of Raila Odinga. Why? You are safe. Let me repeat this. If there is a lucky generation, is a generation that is being ruled by William Ruto under the watch of Raila Amolo Odinga. Why? I have earlier said, if there is a language that the government understands, is the protest. Now, gentlemen, Raila Odinga, the father of democracy, the grandfather, the enigma, the father of the freedom we are enjoying today, the king of Kenyan democracy, has today sent fears into the nerves of Kenya Kwanza government. Baba protested against GMO. They have disowned it. Why? Because of the pressure. Because of the protest. That is the language that government understands. If it were not pressure from Raila Odinga, we could be eating GMO as we speak, because already the media announced the maize has already arrived and it's stored, it's stocked in Mombasa. Now, gentlemen, today, Raila Odinga in Kisumu has publicly declared nationwide rallies to petition the government on why they are revenging on people who exercised their rights, their democratic right. Why turn against them? Chebukati was associated with you. Nobody has pushed him away. The Cherera associated themselves with Azimio. You want to push them out. Why? So Raila has publicly announced and said he will move in county after county in the 47 counties to rally the support behind the commissioners who are being sacrificed for expressing and exercising their constitutional rights of freedom of association and expression. Someone told me today that, Kaka, you have good English. I didn't know. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, when I speak from this platform, though sometimes I listen to myself, but you know, I cannot rank myself as among those people who are speaking good English. But then I want to say thank you so much for the accolades. I really appreciate. And may God bless you so much. You know, when your fan tells you, Kaka, I listen to you because you are eloquent and powerful. You express yourself in a language that is perfect and understandable. I really appreciate. Ladies and gentlemen, I have always told you, if you believe in electoral justice, if you believe in democracy, if you believe in justice, fair justice, this is the time we must stand and be counted. Why? If we fail to do so, we will be answerable to the coming generation. We must defend. We are lucky today because some people who have died now, stood in the gap and said no to this. We are lucky today. We are freely conversing today. We are freely petitioning the government today. Why? Because so many years ago, people stood up and said no to this. Raila stood up and said, we must end one party government. Raila stood and said, we must change the constitution. Raila stood and said it's high time Kenyans exercise the freedom of speech and association. If it were not some people, right now we could be crying na kusaga meno. Fearless people faced powerful territories. That is why we are alive today. That is why we have a free country today. That is why, Kaka, I can sit here and lecture my president. That is why I can sit here and give my own views without fear. Why? Because I'm fully protected by the constitution that some people shed blood to have it working. So today is high time for serious Kenyans. Kenyans of goodwill to stand up and be counted. We cannot be forced into things that will kill our children. We cannot be forced into decisions that will kill our great-grandchildren. This is the time. A good father is a father who leaves a legacy and an inheritance to his children. This is the time we leave a legacy and an inheritance to our coming generation. A generation whereby your son will stand in public and contest fairly without fearing of rigging. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen. As Raila Odinga moves to 47 counties, I call upon the Kenyans of goodwill, citizens of belief in democracy, to stand up and defend our rights and defend our nation and defend our constitution, ladies and gentlemen. There is one man I like from South Africa, and I want to categorically say that he is one of my role models. Julius Malema is a man who speaks with a lot of authority, is a man who stands to be counted, and surely I will tell you, history will find a good place for that man. And in this country, Kenya, Raila now needs young men to stand up and take up the space. This is the time, ladies and gentlemen. And this is Raila Odinga's speech. As I conclude, this is what we need. As they begin from Kamkunji, we call upon all Kenyans to stand up and say no to impunity and say no to dictatorship. Can we listen to Baba? When Baba speaks, all of you, if you are eating, please you stop. If you are writing something, please you stop. If you are driving, park by the roadside. If you are doing anything else, please pause. And can we listen to Raila Odinga?
As you know that this regime, which came into power through the rigging of the elections, is now hell-bent in trying to send home the commissioners who stood firm on the platform of the truth. And we have said that this is not going to be acceptable. People of Kenya will not accept it because it is now known worldwide that these people lost elections badly and that they stole these elections. But now we cannot accept that on top of that they will add insult to injury by sending away these other commissioners and then imposing on Kenyans a user-friendly commission to them. This is not acceptable. And therefore we have said we are going to consult widely with the people of Kenya. We will begin in Nairobi on Wednesday. We will have a meeting with the people of Nairobi at Kamkunji grounds to ask them if they accept that these commissioners should go home. We will then do the same thing in Mombasa. We'll do the same thing in Nakuru. We'll do the same thing in Kisumu. Do the same thing in Kakamega. Because an independent electoral commission is the referee. It cannot be appointed by a player. Basic price of basic commodities like food is very high. Energy is also pretty high. Fuel is very, very high, the cost. So the people are suffering. And some of those palliative measures which had been introduced by the previous government, like Kazi Mtaani, which we had said was going to be continued, have all been stopped. There's also disappointment about non-implementation of promises which had been made during the campaign period. What is being seen here is promises on top of promises on top of promises, which is disappointing.